Hey.
Hey.
Thanks for coming in on this very, very, very rainy day.
All right, sounds good.
Get a little wet out there.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
Do you like this kind of weather?
I do because I can relax and take a nice nap. It's a good movie day.
Sounds great.
Yeah. It's nice every once in a while. I wouldn't want to live somewhere that's raining all the time.
So
but
Seattle's not in your future?
No,
anytime soon?
I have heard Seattle's pretty bad, so might make me a little bit sad.
Fair enough. Alright, so the reason we came in today is I had you take the Myers-Briggs assessment.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just kind of going to go over your results and answer any questions you have and kind of figure out what it means for your life.
All right.
Sounds good?
Yeah.
So why don't you tell me your initial thoughts on taking it?
Well, I've actually taken this a few times before when I was younger. It wasn't obviously as official of a test like this was, where it breaks everything down more and things like that. Because I felt like this test, the questions were a little bit more direct than ones I've taken before. So I actually kind of liked that because it was just the whole pick this word or this word. I liked that because it made it easy. I didn't have to think a lot. I just went with my first instinct as to when I was reading the words, and it said, think about the meanings of them too, of course. But just reading the words, there were just certain words where I'm like, didn't care about them as much as the other one. And so I felt that section was cool because the other ones that I've taken didn't have that. And this one was actually a little bit shorter than the other ones, which was nice too, because I feel like some of these tests can get repetitive. So I liked that about it. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that it was kind of a nice change, even though you've taken it.
Yeah.
Since several times in the past.
Yeah, and the other times it was just out of my curiosity. So it was cool this time to take it to actually get my results interpreted, because when I would take it before, it would just tell me my 4 letters and say maybe 5 careers that would be good for me. And then one of them told me other celebrities who shared the same ones, which was kind of cool. But yeah.
So why don't we go ahead and just kind of dive into your results,
Okay.
So that way you can kind of get a more deep understanding of what it means to be what you are.
All right. Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get on the right page here first. So as you know, it kind of breaks it down into you can be one of 8 different letters. You get 4 of the 8, so you're kind of compared 1 and 1. You can be 1 and the other.
Mm-hmm.
So you have your introversion versus extroversion, your intuition versus sensing, your feeling versus thinking, and then your perceiving versus judging. In all those cases, you scored on the right-hand side. So you're introverted, you follow your intuition, you're more of a feeling person, and you're perceiving. So basically, what all that means is, I'm guessing you know what an introvert is, right?
Mm-hmm.
You tend to keep to yourself, aren't the most comfortable in social situations, and actively engaging. It's kind of exhausting for you, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Your intuition, you tend to take things from patterns and look at the bigger picture instead of focusing on the minor details of things. When you're a feeling person, you tend to make decisions based on your values, and you make your decisions based on others. You really take into other people's accounts before you make your own decisions, even when it's affecting you more than others. And then when you're perceiving, you're flexible. You don't like that tight, 8 to 9, I'm going to do this. From 9 to 10, you just kind of go with the flow kind of person.
Yeah.
Do those sound accurate?
Yeah, those are definitely all accurate. I can't see myself being on like the other side of them. Maybe extroversion a little bit more so than when I was younger, but definitely I can sense when I'm around people for long enough, or say like when I've had friends stay here for the weekend, by the time they leave, I'm like, thank you. Like I'll miss them and everything, of course, but I just need like to take a breath and have that moment to myself. So that's definitely true. And then the um, the feelings one is definitely true. Um, I just have a lot of feelings in general. So a lot of decisions in things are fueled by feelings. Like I know a lot of that test was asking like your head versus your heart type of thing. Mm-hmm. And I usually go like with my heart. So I'm not shocked by that. Definitely.
And since you have taken it previously, have you noticed any changes in what your scores are? Or what your initial letters are?
It's always been INFP. I've never gotten more of a breakdown than that. Like it never really told me how high of like introversion or intuition or any of that. So I never really knew. Maybe to myself I knew, but I never knew like numbers wise how high or low certain scores were. So I thought that was like cool to find out more of that. But there hasn't been changes in my letters ever. I think I've just noticed in myself that I don't feel like my numbers may be as high in certain sections of this as they were before. Like the introversion, I think that's really the main one that I can think of that probably would have been way higher when I was younger versus now. But I feel like people pretty much stay extroverted or introverted most of their life, even if it's higher or lower than it used to be. Which I don't know if that's true, but I feel like that's just from like a lot of my friends and things. I feel like they've pretty much stayed similar to what they have been when I first knew them. So,
and it's nice too that you have that self-awareness that while your letters may have stayed, you might have shifted one direction or the other, and that's usually kind of a tough thing for people to be self-aware like that. So, good job.
Yeah, thanks.
So getting into the numbers, kind of like you were saying, how this report breaks everything down. So when you're talking about extroversion versus introversion, you scored moderate on that. So like you said, you are kind of shifting towards the extroversion side, but you are still, like I said, moderate than introversion. Your intuition and feeling, they're pretty clear. There's no kind of going back and forth on that. So you're definitely not sensing or thinking.
Definitely.
Pretty clear cut on that. And then for your judging and perceiving, you are slight on the perceiving end. So you can say you're falling in the middle between the judging and perceiving. So you can do those stricter schedules, but you also like the flexibility. Like you're not one of those people that freak out when there's not a plan.
Yeah. It's kind of a situational thing for me. Like I know when I was taking it, I almost felt like I was being a hypocrite because one question would ask like, how do you feel about schedules? And then it would ask like a similar one, but slightly different like wording or a different situation or something, and I would answer the other way. Yeah. But so I'm not really shocked that it was barely on one side or the other because I wasn't sure which one it was going to end up being. Like I didn't feel it didn't feel super clear one way or the other, because I think one of them was something about if you're on a trip, do you need everything planned out? And I was like, no, because I don't think that vacations are fun when they're like exactly planned. Like the whole point is to just relax and just like, hey, let's go do this, or somewhere new. But then it was talking about liking some things planned out, or having some type of schedule just like day to day. And so definitely on that end, I like having some type of schedule, like having an idea maybe as to what I'm doing for the most part. But then, on like days off or something, it's nice to just go with it. Yeah. So, yeah.
So, any questions about this?
Nope.
I'm going to move right along then. So this next section just talks about how your type affects your career choices. So one of the things it says you prefer, which looking over these and based on the information I know about you, seems pretty accurate for a majority of these. So you like helping others develop or learn. You work, you own projects that are very meaningful to you. You express creativity through your writing and visual arts. You focus on future possibilities for a person or a situation. So you don't focus on the here and now. You kind of look what's going on. And then you're working at tasks that allow you to step back and see the big picture and see how it fits all together. So does that sound pretty accurate?
Yeah, that's definitely accurate. I would say definitely helping others is like a big thing. And then I don't like working on projects that aren't meaningful to me. So that's why it can be hard for me to do like certain things in school because I don't care about them. Like I know that I need to do them. Like there's certain things in life or whatever that you just have to do, but it's really hard to like try as hard in it when you're just like, I don't care.
Like you're being forced. It's just another assignment you have to do.
Yeah. And then expressing creativity through writing or visual arts is definitely true. It's like a big thing for me, like in my free time. And that's why I've never been shocked either that I'm more introverted, because most of my like hobbies or just things I like to do in my free time are just by myself. They don't involve like going and doing things with others. So the whole introversion thing kind of ties in with that too, I feel like.
And along with that, along with your work tasks, it also talks about your preferred work environment. So you prefer private time and space you can concentrate without interruptions, which was kind of similar to what you were saying earlier, how you enjoy having friends over, but you also can't wait until they leave. So it's a similar situation there. It emphasizes that the work has more meaning beyond the paycheck, which kind of sounds like what you were stating previously. It offers opportunities to work in harmony with others that share similar values. It fosters cooperation and helping, and then you trust people to work autonomously and without close supervision. So like, here's your work, go do it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not that micromanager kind of style.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, it's good to kind of like peep in every once in a while and be like, hey, how's it going? And kind of get updates and things like that. But I feel like if people need the help, they'll ask for it. I don't like when people are like getting up in my business and be like, is it done? Is it done? Stuff. So I wouldn't want to do that to someone else either.
Yeah, it definitely makes a lot of sense. It can make you feel really like tense and kind of closed off, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So the next section is how it affects your career exploration. I can talk today. So the strengths in this area is you reflect on what's really important to you when it comes to your career. So something that, as you said earlier, has more meaning than a paycheck.
Yep.
You think about the long-term prospects and opportunities associated with whatever job you're going for, and not just the task at hand. You come across as personable and friendly in interviews, which is always a good thing. Makes for a good interview.
Yeah.
You remain open to new opportunities that come along. You're not closed off. You don't, I guess you're not a traditionalist.
Yeah, that's no fun to me.
And then you consider how others may be affected by your decision, kind of what I was saying earlier.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Like I'm going to choose for the most part like what I want to do, but I'm going to think about like others in a situation if it affects them. If it's just something that's just me, then, it's one thing, but there are certain decisions that can affect other people's lives that you make, and so I just kind of have that in the back of my mind, basically.
And so along with those strengths, there's always a flip side of the coin. There comes some challenges along with that. So one of the biggest challenges you might face is you might miss opportunities because there's that fear of making a decision.
True.
Or you might miss opportunities because you're reluctant to do the necessary networking, and so that kind of goes back to the introversion. You don't want to kind of open yourself out.
I'm not good at that.
So one of the biggest things you can do for that is start with your close circle of friends, and then kind of slowly graduate. So friend of a friend, and then
that's
friend of a friend of a friend.
That's usually how my connections work.
Yeah.
Is I'll connect with someone who's like really good at networking with people, and then like for instance, like two of my really good friends are super extroverted, and so it's nice because it gets me out of like my shell a little bit, and so they'll be down to say, oh, let's go hang out with these people, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like I wouldn't do it on my own. So it's nice to like have those friends that are more about that, and then are just kind of like, come with me, like tag along with me type of thing. So yeah.
Good. You may hesitate to sell your potential contributions during an interview. So basically, you don't like talking about yourself. You'd rather talk about others, which kind of defeats the purpose of an interview at times, because you're there to talk about your strengths and skills and how you can how you can contribute to the company.
Yeah. I just usually, I don't know, like I know that that's the point of an interview and like a resume and all that, and all that stuff is kind of hard for me because I would rather like just show that I'm a good worker rather than brag it up, because someone could brag it up in an interview and like finesse their way into a job and then suck at it.
Yeah.
So it sucks because it's like, I know that you have to basically do both of them, like be good in the interview and everything, but I feel like the part where it said that I'm like personal and friendly in an interview, I feel like that is normally how my interviews go, and then I'm just like personable with the person who's interviewing me, and then they see that and they see that like I really want to work there. So I guess it's like a combination of those. I'm fine with talking about like showing my personality and just talking about like
things that don't actually pertain to you.
Yeah, like actual like heart to heart things that are like, oh hey, you like to do this or this.
Job specific things.
Yeah. I'm just not businessy.
Yeah.
So my brain doesn't work like that.
So one of the best ways you can kind of combat that is just practicing. They always say practice makes perfect. So maybe ask a friend to play the interviewer and just do some role plays with, like I said, a friend or maybe a career professional that can give you insight, but someone you're definitely comfortable with to kind of make that a little bit easier on you.
Yeah.
So we were talking about how like thinking versus feeling. So when you're interviewing with someone who's more of a thinker, the task-oriented things kind of comes off as you're not good at that. So one way to combat that is really focus on your personable strength, as we were talking about. So say, hey, I may not be task-oriented, but these are the ways I can contribute based on my own strengths. So definitely. Bless you.
Thank you.
Let's see. You may, as I said earlier, you may put off making a decision because you're waiting for a better opportunity to come along.
Story of my life. Yep.
So, again, you might miss that opportunity because you're waiting too long.
I'm bad at committing.
So, ways you can deal with that are setting a deadline to make that decision. Write it down, put it somewhere where you can see it, tell a friend. It's kind of like what they say with goals.
Mm-hmm.
If you verbalize it to someone or you make it more visual, you're more likely to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of almost hitting that panic alert button, like I have to make this deadline. Kind of
yeah, and the thing that's hard with that, because I know that that's like definitely efficient, but the thing that's hard with that is the whole like scheduling thing. Is sometimes that almost makes it like more anxiety inducing for me to say like, okay, I need to get it done this day. Because then I'm like, oh my god, I gotta get it done this day, and I just start like panicking and freaking myself out. But I feel like the friend thing definitely helps, like telling a friend to like keep me in check.
And then, of course, because you have that openness and flexibility, you kind of overwhelm yourself with possibilities because you're thinking so much out of the box. It's endless, right? So you need to prioritize those possibilities. Identify what out of those possibilities are really going to help you make that decision. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So the next part is about career development. So similar to the last page, it talks about your strengths and then your challenges and how you can combat those challenges. So with your strengths, you have high insight to what is really important to others, so you're really in tune to others, which is really great strength, especially because you're wanting to do counseling, not specifically career counseling, but so that's definitely a great strength to have. You're devising creative solutions to problems, so again, you're thinking outside the box. You're working autonomously to realize your ideal and vision, so kind of in the zone, want to think for yourself, which is good. Communicating your thoughts and values in writing, so you're not a verbalizer in any sort of meeting, you do much better by writing it down. And then you're really good at helping others develop and reach their full potential. So again, it's great for counseling.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
So the challenges that go along with that is kind of goes back to you're not good at verbalizing things, so you have a hard time talking in meetings, which makes you kind of seem like you're not interested or you don't know what you're talking, like you don't know what's going on, that kind of thing. So one of the best ways to combat that is make your views known in some kind of writing, so email, memos, just write them down.
Yeah,
and send them out to people.
That's definitely how I am in class too. Like I don't really answer things in class. Like I'm sitting there thinking a lot, and I probably like have the right answer in my head, but I always just like second guess it, and then I don't say it, and then someone else says it, and I'm like, oh, I should have said it. So yeah, I'm not very good about verbalizing things, definitely.
And another thing to consider too is that maybe if it's a meeting situation, asking ahead of time, say, hey, I want to speak about this. So they put you on the agenda, and that gives you time to kind of prepare yourself to, verbalize what you were thinking.
I think about that.
So you're also a perfectionist in accomplishing your tasks. The smile says that's very accurate, right?
It's a little painful.
So with that, you want to kind of identify the pros and cons of completing a less than perfect task versus, basically not doing it at all because it's not going to be perfect. And then think about, and since your strengths are focusing on others and making them more of a priority, thinking about how it's going to benefit of you still doing it even if it's not perfect versus just not doing it at all. So again, making that pros and cons list, but maybe instead of putting yourself in the situation, putting someone else in it. And then you may fail to influence or convince others on the merit of your ideas. So basically it kind of goes back to this traditionalist who have very set in their way standards kind of thing, and you have that out of the box approach, so finding ways to basically sell what you're doing, so finding research things like that, and maybe even finding someone who is a thinker, someone that you trust, that you can debate back and forth, just kind of prepare yourself for that.
Yeah, one of my really good friends, I'm pretty sure is like the opposite of mine as you're saying these. So I feel like it's kind of that like opposites attract thing, just in the way that like we're friends because we kind of like bring certain parts out of each other, I think.
Which is great that you are already thinking about, okay, who in my life is like this? So,
yeah.
Great. So the next section is just basically talking about potential jobs and how people that are the same type as you, what kind of jobs attract them the most. And so what it does is it divides it into 3 different sections. So most attractive, moderately attractive, and least attractive. So your most attractive are your arts, designs, entertainment, sports, and media. So artist, coach, musician, reporter, anything with education, training, things like that. Personal and healthcare services, and then community and social services. So a lot of those kind of do tie into that counseling aspect in some way or the other, and the helping profession, putting others' needs before your own. Then you have your moderate, so food, preparation and services, and then this one also has healthcare, but this is more of your doctors, your lab technicians, physical therapists, things like that. So life, physical, and social sciences, so basically anything science related, biologists, chemists, things like that. Office administration, so receptionist, bank teller, assistant, things like that. Legal, pretty self-explanatory. Building and grounds maintenance, computer and mathematics, sales and advertising, farming, fishing and forestry, and then protective services, so police officer, firefighter, things like that. And then your least attractive, construction, business and finance, production, manufacturing, architecture, military service, transportation.
That's very true.
None of those sound interesting. You don't want to be an architect?
I think.
Or a pilot?
I think that. I wish I could be a pilot. I think architecture is cool, but I don't think that I could do it. It's too much math.
Too much math. I mean, it makes sense.
So are these like my scores then that I got on it?
Yes.
Got 100 on the first one.
And I think it, again, fits very accurately because you sound like you're more of that artistic type and you'd rather be more creative.
Cool.
So yeah, that was definitely a high point for you. And then it just kind of goes down from there. So, and then basing it off of that, there's a list of the top 24 most popular occupations with those types. So your top 5 are commercial art director, social science research assistant, a psychiatrist, a veterinary assistant, and then musician, singer, music director, composer. So something within the music industry.
Art director would be cool.
So, and clinical counseling is in there. So
nice.
It's still in your top 24. So I think you're pretty good and set on that. And then it also gives you the least popular occupation. So cost estimator, electrical power installer, infantry member, materials engineer, mechanical engineering. So a lot of science, math.
That sounds horrible.
There's a lot of engineering in there.
Top executive military specific? Yeah, no way.
So any questions on any of this?
I don't think so. That was actually pretty thorough.
Awesome. And so I will give you this as well so you can kind of look at it on your own. And then if you ever have any questions when you're looking at it, you know how to get a hold of me.
Okay.
Another thing to look at is, I don't know if you saw in here that several of the pages have action steps that you can do. So like this one for the work tasks and work environment, identify a specific job you are considering, using resources to look at those jobs and things like that. But a lot of these pages have action steps you can do for each thing. Alright, so if you don't have any more questions, I think we can call it a day.
Yeah.
Sound good?
I'm good with that.
Alright, see you next time.
Sounds good. See you.